High Street and the North High Street Historic District in Holyoke, Massachusetts. We're doing divisions of the video into blocks, and we're doing now the western edge of the block between Dwight Street and Hamden Street. It's very, very busy, packed with beautiful buildings. We're going to talk about the one that the white paint is peeled off the brick. That's a very old building from 1870. It's called the Ball Building. In fact, the last three on the left, the gorgeous one that's 7 stories high, the one that's 2, and the one that's 3, are all Charles Ball's buildings. In 1870, he made the Ball Building to be what he was. He was selling space to people, professionals. He had a ground floor being produce, other kinds of stores, and sometimes of a tall building, professional offices in the tall upper ones. And he developed so strong and became very rich that in 1898, 8 years later, he made that 7-story one that's still there. Now, we'll come inwards. We'll talk about the next one along. But the Charles Building, it was made in Georgian style. Now, the next one along is the Colby Carden Building, and this is the oldest building on this stretch of High Street. It's from 1850, and it's a tribute to the people that own it, that is kept in great shape. You could probably guess that it wasn't from 1850. You would probably guess it was like 1900, but it's in such great shape. The roof line has been changed over. Notice the brick up there is brand new brick. Now, what they were, Colby and Carter, were dealers in office space, and this is a very important building because on the 3rd floor, this was the first location of the Masonic Temple of Holyoke. And they're up to their 3rd location now. Since 1920, they've been on Chestnut Street. But this is the start of it all up there. And the style of this was called the Victorian commercial style. All right, now the next two go together. And by two, I mean the ones that have a combined ground floor. They're actually 2 different buildings, because if you look at the roof line, you see that the roof line is incredibly different from one another. And then the windows, especially above the windows, are incredibly different. But now you notice the roof lines combined. That's because the same 2 brothers own those buildings. They were called the Johnson Building and the Johnson Block. And they're both from 1880. Two brothers, the main one called Robert, and what they did was sell insurance. They were the insurance dealers in old-time Holyoke. The style is most Italianate. The leftmost one is very ornate Italianate, very simple and and they've done a great job in combining the buildings to make it look as if they were one. Most people would never know that it's not that. Now, the most gorgeous building in all High Street is the Caledonia. You know it's a Caledonia because look at the upper floor. It gives you the name and date, 1874, Caledonia. All right, so you think that it was built that year? You're correct. In 1873, the year before, the building that the person that owns this back in 1874 burnt to the ground. And he made a new building here, and he also made a new building at the location where his old building was. His name was Roswell Crafts. And notice that the Caledonia is with a golden color strip above it. That's because the old name of the building was taken off. This building's name was the Crafts Building, right? And when the Caledonia Society bought it out in the 1920s, they went up there and changed the name to Caledonia. And what's the Caledonia? The Caledonia is a band that is unique to Holyoke. Caledonia means Scottish, means that it's a Scottish origin. And the band still exists in Holyoke. They've been in every St. Patrick's Day parade in Holyoke since the beginning. Now, what they do with the building is the following. The ground floor was always stores. The next floor up was always professional offices, doctors and dentists. The 3rd floor up was the start of a social hall. And the social hall continued into the 4th floor. And so when the the Caledonians took over, they owned the whole building, but used the 2 upper floors for their own doing. Now you see that it seems to be 4 floors high. It's officially 3 stories high. The upper floor is a French roof. The style of the building is called Second Empire, which is one of the Victorian architectural styles. And this whole ornate upper floor came in pieces from the architectural firm of New York City that sold it to them. So the window on the right and the window on the left are simple architectural pieces. The horizontal bands are simple architectural pieces cut into floors. And then the middle piece is a separate architectural piece too that was shipped here from New York City. So you're bought out of a magazine that this architectural firm was selling off. Now notice the very strong vertical brands coming down. They're all pretty much in great shape. There's some that are starting to weather out. But overall, this is a very popular building, very gorgeous building. Hard to compete with this. All right, 3 more buildings to go. So as you go more to the left, you finally meet the Luther Tabor building. The Luther Tabor was a jeweler, a goldsmith, silversmith, repaired jewelry. And this building was made in 1870. He came to Holyoke in 1845. And he had his original store up by where the Holy Cross Church is now, and he lived up there. And that was when this was not even a town. It was part of West Springfield and called Ireland Parish. He was very devoted to Holyoke, and he made this gorgeous building. You notice the 4th floor has an ocular on it. It's like his son's building, which came much later, Frank Tabor's, which is 1 more block up to the south. And they both made ornate buildings because the way of selling produce, even as jewelry, is to have a beautiful building. And that they did. And this style is called the Victorian Italianate because of the roof length design. Okay, next one. Now this one has a very interesting history. It says Greater Holyoke Chamber of Commerce on the ground floor, and it's called a Doherty block. It's from 1885. It's Italianate. Much more interesting though is that before 1885, if you had come here, this was a fire station. It was a central fire station of Holyoke. It was the first central fire station out of four that have been in Holyoke, right? 2 of them on High Street, the first 2, then 1 on Maple Street, and then another one on Commercial Street. So this was the location of the first central fire station of Holyoke. It was called the Reliant Fire Station. It was taken out because it didn't have the correct design. It was made to be a fire station, not a store. So sadly, they took it out. Now the next 2 grouped together, you see they both have the same design, but they're 2 different buildings separate. You can see by the brick color. They're Brennan's now and a salon. But if you go back to 1855, that's when these were made. They were made a long time ago. They're very gorgeous Italian buildings. They've always been used for stores, most especially the one that says Brennan's was a plumbing store, and it was that for at least a half century, owned by Sullivan and Carmody. And Carmody would go on to be a commissioner in the water works and have a reservoir named after him. It's still named after him. So this is a very gorgeous stretch of High Street. I hope you appreciate all pieces of it. And if you ever get to take the store, great. I hope you do it. You can also do it with a paper handout, a booklet I made, and also you can go to my webpage and see all the very intricate details of every portion. Thank you very much.